Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land, the Noongar people, and pay our respects to the elders past, present and future. We acknowledge and respect their continuing culture and the contribution they make to the life of this city and this region. This video has been prepared by the SiREN team to support you to write a successful conference abstract. This video will provide you with an understanding of what components make up a conference abstract. It'll explain what those components are and what information belongs where, and it will describe what conference abstract reviewers are looking for when they review your abstract. Abstracts are generally required when submitting an article to a journal for publication, applying for a grant, or applying to present at conferences. An abstract provides the reader with a short, clear summary of your research or program. This presentation is focused on conference abstracts, although many points will be relevant to all types of abstracts. Abstract formatting requirements will vary from conference to conference. Generally, abstract reviewers want to know in about 100 to 300 words what the issue is, what you did, what you found, and the implications of your findings for policy, practice, research, or advocacy. Similar to a movie trailer, an engaging abstract can be used to hook your audience and increase the chances that you're accepted to present your work. Each conference has a focal point. Therefore, before you begin to write your abstract, you'll need to ensure that your topic fits the conference theme and the abstract guidelines. Begin by studying the abstract guidelines carefully to ensure what you plan to present aligns with the requirements. You'll also need to consider the overall conference theme as well as the conference's intended audience. What professional background will delegates have? Will they be clinicians, researchers, community program managers, or lay community members? Keep in mind that you don't need to present on your research or program in its entirety. You can present an interesting angle or a story that's part of a larger picture if it aligns better with the abstract guidelines. The angle you choose should be the one that you feel adds the most value to the conference and to the ongoing dialogue surrounding the issue of interest. If you're new to preparing conference abstracts, you should try to get your hands on a past conference book of abstracts from previous years. These can often be located online. There's also several example abstracts provided on the SiREN website. If after reviewing the abstract guidelines you're still unsure if your abstract aligns, you can always contact the conference organisers directly to confirm. Once you've selected your angle and ensured that it will meet the abstract guidelines, you can begin to write your abstract. Here is an example abstract template. Note that most conferences have their own template and instructions that you'll be required to fill out. However, most tend to follow a version of this outline that uses traditional headings to separate each section. Using this template, you're asked to fill in a title, the authors and their affiliations, background, method, results, and conclusions. Some abstracts do not have the traditional headings, and while you'll still need to provide a title, authors, and affiliations, how you describe your program or research is in a loosely defined narrative form. When preparing an abstract like this, it's still advisable that you provide details of the background to your work, the methods you used, results you found, and your conclusions. I'll now describe what's required under each of these headings in a traditional abstract template. The title you use should be attention-grabbing, accurately represent your proposed presentation, and have clear links back to the conference theme. You may wish to try to include keywords that are in line with the main topics of the conference to clearly demonstrate the relevance of your abstract. Authors, or the people involved in the program or research, should be listed, with the person presenting listed first. Superscript numbers may be required to list authors' affiliated organisations and addresses. Ensure you have all the appropriate people in the author list and have received their permission to present on the research or program. The background and aims section provides you with the opportunity to set the scene. Explain what the problem is and how your program or research contributes to addressing it. This is where you can hook the reader through highlighting why the issue is important and how your presentation will provide insight into the issue and how it can be addressed. The aim is usually the final sentence in this section, and it explains what your research or program does with clear links back to the issue at hand. The methods section is where you describe the approach your research or program took to address the issue, and it describes how you designed your research or program. You'll need to specify what data collection and analysis methods you used. You need to be really specific. Did you collect your data using biometrics, in-depth interviews, or focus groups? What kind of data analysis methods did you use? Was it a thematic analysis of qualitative data or statistical analysis of quantitative data such as chi-squared tests? Who was the target group or study participants? Make sure you're clear about how the methods used link back to the background and aims. Only provide information in your background and methods that's absolutely necessary to understand your results and conclusions. While it's natural to want to include lots of interesting facts to set the scene and the details of all the data collected, you won't have the room, so you'll need to prioritise what you include based on what the abstract reviewers want to know and what your key messages are. The information you include in the results section must clearly relate to the methods used and address the aims and issue identified in the background. If you use statistical analysis, data should be expressed with correct units, appropriate number of significant figures, p-values, etc. While you'll need to be brief, the results you include in your abstract should be given in sufficient detail to justify the conclusions that you've drawn. If you have room, you may wish to discuss if the results were what you expected, such as if they aligned or contradicted what's already known on the issue. The conclusion section is where you can discuss in language that's easy to understand what your results mean and how they'll contribute to addressing the issue. Only discuss your most relevant and compelling findings in the conclusion. Conclusions should be supported by your results and clearly link back to your aims. Your conclusion is also your opportunity to highlight the implications of your findings for policy, practice, research, or advocacy, and what real-world changes you'd like to see as a result of your research or program. Conclusions should not be extrapolated beyond the parameters of the study, so you'll need to ensure that you're being clear if your findings are specific to a population or if they are generalizable to the wider population. As conference organisers often call for abstracts several months before the actual conference, you may wish to present on a research or program where data collection or analysis is incomplete. You can still submit an abstract for works in progress. However, it's important to clearly explain this in your abstract. In the results section of your abstract, you can describe the kinds of data you'll be collecting and when you will collect and analyse it. You can then discuss the hypothesis you are testing. For example, younger people are more at risk of a health issue than older people, and you may also wish to discuss what you expect to find. In the conclusions, you can discuss the importance of the work and how it will contribute to the area of interest. Before you submit your abstract, ensure that your timeframes are realistic and that you will have data to present at the conference so that you don't have to withdraw at the last minute. 3 key tips to preparing a successful conference abstract are to be bold, be concise, and be respectful. You'll need to be bold to hook the reviewer. Now is not the time to be humble. Be clear about what new insights your program or research adds to the issue and why this is interesting. If you aren't clear about why your presentation will be interesting and why people will want to hear it, then the conference organisers aren't going to know why they should ask attendees to listen to it. Be concise. You only have limited words, so only include the most relevant and interesting information in your abstract. When you present, you can include more details then. Be respectful. Triple check you've followed the abstract guidelines precisely. Check your word count, that appropriate content is included under the abstract headings, and that you have used references if and when required. Not following the abstract submission guidelines is the quickest way to get reviewers offside, as it takes up more of their time reviewing abstracts that don't meet the guidelines. Before you press submit, check if your abstract is well written in terms of language and grammar. Avoid using abbreviations, but if necessary, ensure you have stated them in full first. Ask a colleague or someone familiar with the subject area to look over your abstract. They'll be able to tell you where more detail is needed or where you can trim some words. Then finally, sleep on it. Giving yourself some time away from your abstract can enable you to come back and look at it with fresh eyes. In addition to its evaluation and research support, SiREN can support you to prepare your conference abstract or presentation. Visit the support and learning pages on the SiREN website to access information on developing an abstract and presenting at conferences. If you're working to address sexual health and blood-borne viruses in Western Australia, SiREN can provide you personalised support via email, over the phone, or even face-to-face. To get in touch, email us at siren@curtin.edu.au. The following references were used to develop this presentation.